politics, opinions, and discussion. This is The Issue here on your TV. I'm Mark Carr, and on this edition of The Issue, we'll be talking to two guests, Jeff Knoll, CEO of Film.ca, and Drew Redden, CEO of the Oakville Chamber of Commerce. But first, my co-host this week, the retired president and CEO of the Oakville Chamber of Commerce, John Sawyer. John, how are you dealing with the epidemic, and have you had your first inoculation yet?
Things are going really well for us. As I've told you in previous programs, we've been really blessed. We've avoided all of the problems that a lot of people are facing. I had my Moderna shot a couple of weeks ago, and I think July 31st I get my second shot. So things are good.
And how was your experience getting the shot?
I have to say kudos to the region of Halton. We went through their process. It was very efficient. We were very comfortable with it. They did a great job.
And I have to say the same thing. And from beginning to end, it took 30 minutes. So it was quick. It didn't hurt. And my experience afterwards was just a little bit of soreness where it went in, but that was gone after a day.
Yep, same with me. I didn't even know the nurse had put the needle in. It was that painless. I did not have any side effects whatsoever. Marianne's arm was sore for about 3 days, and when I say sore, it was just sensitive to the touch. So it was great, and I'd encourage everyone to get it done as soon as possible.
Good, John.
Okay.
I'll turn it over to you to introduce our first guest.
Well, this has been 2 years in the making. I retired from the Chamber of Commerce, and after an extensive search, we found a really fine young man who has done a fabulous job of carrying on with the Chamber. And we've been trying to connect on this for a couple of years and just haven't been able to make it work. But finally, I'm here with Drew Redden. And Drew, I can't say enough good things about what you've done with the Chamber. I am so proud of how you've carried on the legacy. And I'm glad to have the opportunity to say it publicly right now. And the first thing is, how are you doing? How are things at the Chamber?
Well, Mark and John, thanks so much for having me. It's a privilege to be on here with you, and glad we finally found the time, John. And you talk about the Chamber, and you left a great legacy for us to build on. And the last year has certainly been challenging. We were looking at last March, over 12 months ago, and trying to come up with a budget, a roadmap, a plan for what the next year was going to look like. And there were a lot of scary elements to it, and the unknown. Events. We at the Oakville Chamber, which you know very well, host 70 events a year, in-person gatherings, and makes up a large portion of our revenue. So we really, from day one, had to recreate what the Chamber is going to be over what we thought, naively, for the next 2 months, which has turned out to be the next 13 months and counting. But really, we focused on 3 pillars, communicating, connecting, and building a community. And everything we've done over the last year, we've put that lens on those activities and said, are we communicating important information to the members, big government programs, budgets, getting the members the information they need? Are we connecting? Are we creating opportunities where we don't have in-person networking, but are we creating online forums that people can connect, or doing a hands-on approach to connecting one member with another? And are we building a community where people say, you need to be part of that Chamber community? The Chamber is where you need to be right now. They'll get you the information, they'll get you the people, and they'll get you the content that has been helpful over this past year.
All good stuff. So events are a major source of revenue. They do provide that in-person networking opportunity. It's great for the profile of the organization. You bring in key decision makers and build relationships that way. So how are you managing to do that without the opportunity to physically get together? And I want to just mention, I saw a great initiative you'd put out, Oakville on the Deck. It's a new event with elected officials, which I thought was a great initiative. But anyway, tell me how you're doing what you're doing.
Sure. So, we've really focused on content creation over the last year as well. And, because we aren't able to gather in a room, we've had to look at other ways to connect. And virtual and digital has created a huge opportunity for us. I'll get to Oakville on Deck in a second here, but, just in the last 3 weeks, we've hosted Aaron O'Toole, the leader of Canada's Conservative Party, leader of the official opposition. We've hosted Minister Wilkinson, Canada's Minister of Environment and Climate Change. Minister Wilkinson connected with Oakville Chamber members from his office in Vancouver. Mr. O'Toole connected with Oakville Chamber members from his office in Ottawa. So, normally we'd love to bring those folks to Oakville, go to the conference center, go to a hotel boardroom, create that engagement in a room. But there's still a huge opportunity that we now have, being able to connect all across the country. And John, you'll know better than anyone the logistics of bringing a cabinet minister or a leader to Oakville. Finding that time in their schedule, you need a whole day. You need half a day of their time with travel and being built around something else. Now we can take half an hour, 45 minutes of their time, connect. And so that advocacy has gone that one step further. We've also had incredible chamber members and partners in the business community who have been able to support the chamber and understand the value of a healthy business economy here in Oakville. And the pandemic has not been equal to all businesses. Some businesses have been hit a lot harder than others. There's been businesses that have succeeded and had record years. So building that chamber community, those businesses that have fared better this year have been an incredible support, not just to our chamber to step up and offer to sponsor events, bring speakers, but an incredible support to the whole chamber community. And those businesses that have been harder hit have been able to learn and lean on some of these bigger businesses and whether they're bringing content. But getting back to your Oakville on Deck, it's a new program we're launching this year, and it's bringing all of our elected officials, our mayor, provincial MPPs, federal MPs, to one conversation and connecting them with that Oakville business community. And I have to give huge credit to our elected officials, Stephen Crawford, Effie Trianopoulos, Pam Damoff, Anita Nod, Rob Burton. They've understood that businesses have been hit hard during the pandemic, and they have been always had open ears when we brought issues to them early on. I felt like I was talking to Pam and Anita's office every day, talking about the wage subsidy. We needed a more significant wage subsidy. 10% wasn't going to cut it. They came through with the 75%. The provincial government on the Ontario Small Business Grant at $20,000 directly to businesses to help with what they need most. Mayor Burton creating his economic task force. Our relationships with our elected officials have been strengthened over the last year because there's been a real sense of partnership and we have to work together. So Oakville on Deck, we're going to have 3 30-minute conversations, one focused on municipal issues, one focused on provincial issues, one focused on federal issues, all about Oakville, the impact of the budget, what that means for Oakville, what that means for our business, and how we're going to move through this pandemic when we come out the other side.
That's perfect.
Drew, I know that you're in touch with your members constantly.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the major item that you're hearing from your members during the pandemic?
Well, Mark, it's a great question. And, we represent small businesses, solo entrepreneurs to large organizations like the Ford Motor Company of Canada. And we try and make sure that we're understanding the unique problems that they're all facing. What has been the underlying or the overwhelming, issue is businesses need certainty. So what we look to in the federal budget and the provincial budget was certainty of these programs. You know, it's almost sometimes feels like the government's flipping an on and off switch on the economy. Get your shutdown, you're allowed to open. You're shut down, you're allowed to open. And as these shutdowns go on, if businesses know that these programs are going to be there to keep their people employed, to help with rent, that is crucial. We all know we need to get this pandemic under control before we're going to have an open and full economy. But in order to get there, we need these businesses to survive as well. So any certainty that these programs can provide has been incredibly important, and we'll continue to be an advocate for these programs, for the tweaks to the program, so that all businesses are able to get that support.
Okay, and I think just John in the last couple of minutes wants to ask you something totally out of your bailiwick. So John, I'll let you ask.
Okay, so this program is going to air on May the 4th, Star Wars Day, and you confessed to me that you would not consider yourself a Star Wars fan, and you have not actually sat through an entire episode of Star Wars.
And so the question is?
The question is, do you have a favorite genre? What kind of movies do you enjoy?
Yeah, no, I was a little embarrassed to admit that I've never sat through a Star Wars. And I would have called it movie, but now that you say episode, I that just shows how naive I am as a Star Wars fan. But I am, in terms of a genre, I'm a horror movie guy. You know, we had a tradition, Scary Movie Sunday. We watch a scary movie every Sunday night. And I know your next guest is Jeff Knoll. And so last Halloween, last October, me and my bubble, we rented a movie theater from film.ca. We had a private screening with 7 of us. We watched a horror movie, and we called it Scary Movie Sunday. It was a safe environment, and I look forward to movie theaters being able to open again, and folks like Jeff Knoll at film.ca, the innovation they had to create those opportunities where we could safely view the movies. But we had a great experience last October and look forward to doing that again.
Well, Drew Redden, I appreciate you coming on, and we'll have to have you back and spend more time once this pandemic is over with, and so we know what's happening with the business community. So again, I do want to thank you, Drew Redden, CEO and President of the Oakville Chamber of Commerce. Thanks for joining us, and we'll be right back to talk to Jeff Knoll from film.ca about Star Wars. We'll be right back. And now our next guest is Regional and Town Councillor Jeff Knoll. And Jeff is also the CEO of film.ca, and he's got some interesting things to tell us about May 4th. May the 4th be with all of us. But I'm going to introduce my co-host this week, and John Sawyer, former president or retired president. He likes to be referred to as former CEO of the Oakville Chamber of Commerce. John, do you want to introduce Jeff and get us going on this topic?
I do. I've really been looking forward to this. It's no secret I'm a big fan of Jeff's. He was so supportive when I was at the Chamber. He hosted events at film.ca, awesome events at film.ca, and he gave me one of the best pieces of advice. I doubt he even remembers this, but it was like a light bulb went off when he said it. And he said to me, John, it's important the Chamber take positions on matters, because if you don't take a position, somebody's going to give you one. And I always remembered that. We always followed that advice because it was absolutely true. So Jeff, I can publicly thank you for that, because it was a guiding principle throughout my time at the Chamber. Anyway,
you're very welcome.
How are you and Michelle doing through these unusual times?
Well, we are, as usual, busy, very busy at the Knoll household between our respective responsibilities in the community and welcoming 2 grandchildren to the world during COVID. Um, it's been quite the year and a bit. It is very frustrating to have to deal with the pandemic. It is we've had very little time to sort of sit and worry about it. We've just had to keep pushing on through our respective responsibilities.
And
Yeah.
Jeff, how are you doing from a business point of view? How are you coping with the changes that are occurring?
Well, we could ask the producer to cue the really sad music right now, because it's it has been a very difficult year and a bit at the business. I mean, we like a lot of businesses in town that rely on being open for assembly reasons, whether it's a restaurant or a movie theater, for that matter, even retail. We've really suffered from the various lockdowns, and even during the very brief time that we were allowed to be open during the late summer and early fall, the restrictions on attendance was very difficult to cope with. And it has been a really challenging time, and it's given us an opportunity to really sort of reflect on the fact that we need to look for other revenue options to sort of make ourselves more durable for the future. So we've been focusing a lot on finding new pivots to utilize our facility and our staff and our know-how to find those new revenue areas, not just for the pandemic and what will probably be a slow ramp up to return to normal after that, but also for the future, just so we are ready to deal with whatever gets thrown at us tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow.
Drew, we just had Drew Redden on from the Chamber of Commerce, and he had mentioned he had rented one of your cinemas for a private screening.
Yes.
Under the current rules, are you still able to do that?
No, we haven't been able to do that since November, actually. The only time that you can actually even open the doors to the theater is in the framework orange, yellow, and green times. Some public health units have bent the rules a little bit and allowed their theaters to open for private screenings, but Halton, being in the GTA, I think, has been pretty strict about it. And so as a result, our doors have been closed from a performance perspective since November 16th.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's been, and we had that brief period where we had the limited capacity, but yeah, we were doing a lot of private rentals during that time, where we called it bubble cinema, where people could basically rent the theater and bring their family, those who were in their bubble, to come and watch a movie. It worked out really well. Frankly, I don't know why we couldn't continue to do it, but it's, that's just the way things turned out.
Okay, well, let's encourage everybody to get their vaccine so we can get back
absolutely.
to as close
Yeah.
to normal as we
Yes.
can. This program airs on May the 4th. Some people
Yes.
actually refer to it as Star Wars Day.
Yes.
We do really focus on really important community issues on this program, and we always have fun. It turns out we have fun, but I thought,
Yeah.
let's try and actually on purpose have fun. I have to admit, the first 3 Star Wars films, I absolutely love them.
Yes.
For the story, it was a change in cinema when they came out.
Mhm.
And I thought, well, you're the expert in cinema in Oakville. Do you have any thoughts on Star Wars, like what it has meant to the movie industry?
Well, I can tell you what it meant to a 12-year-old sitting in the darkened auditorium of the Odeon Theater in Windsor on May 26th, 1977, the day after it opened, when I managed to get a ticket to go and see it. It meant a lifelong love affair with the movies, because this really was the film that flicked a switch in my mind that said, I want to be part of this business, whether I'm making them, showing them, or distributing them. For the industry itself, we as an industry at the time, it was kind of a difficult period of time, because films had really sort of not been great up to that point in time, and theaters were struggling with how to encourage people to come to the movies again. Hollywood wasn't really producing a lot of really great films. And then all of a sudden, Star Wars comes along, and there was a series of other films in that time frame as well, like Close Encounters of the Third Kind and Jaws and a few others. But Star Wars was really for our business kind of the start of really a renaissance of the cinema industry and the film industry. This little $11 million film, went on to make hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. And 19 film franchises later, and video games later, and books later, it has become an absolute behemoth of the entertainment industry.
It's become part of the lexicon.
Really has, yes.
I find myself quoting Yoda every once in a while. It's
yes, and John does it on the show as a philosophy.
Yes.
But Jeff, one of the things that I have always felt is once a movie comes out and is a tremendous hit as Star Wars was, it
Right.
seems to deteriorate as they put the next one on and the next one on and the next one on. But
Yeah.
it doesn't seem to be the case with Star Wars.
Well,
I'm just wondering what makes it so different.
I mean, I think that Star Wars has had its periods of malaise as well. I mean, the so-called the first episodes, which were actually the second set of episodes, figure that one out. I mean, they didn't do particularly well. I mean, I was operating. I mean, I've been in the theater business since Empire Strikes Back, in one way or the other. But the second set, or the first set, episodes 1, 2, and 3, didn't go on to be great box office successes, and frankly weren't even that fantastic from a cinematic perspective. They brought us Jar Jar Binks and other such forgettable characters. But I think after Disney invested the money and the new talent in the franchise after that period, that's when they really started to explode again, with great new stories and more money for effects and those sorts of things. So I think what really keeps it fresh and alive is actually the generational piece. It's sort of like the Disney model back in the day, where Walt would release a movie and then you take it out of circulation, you bring it back. So I think absence makes your heart grow fonder, and I think that's one of the keys with Star Wars, is that there's been these gaps between releases. So you find a whole new generation of young people and families that want to watch these movies. So when the last batch of Star Wars films came out, and there's more yet to come, it was really starting to, I mean, my youngest kids really hadn't grown up on it. My grandkids certainly not. And so all of a sudden now we're introducing Star Wars to them, and now they want to go back and they want to see the originals. So I think it's a generational thing. And the stories are timeless. I mean, if you think about it, the stories and all of the situations in Star Wars can be transplanted pretty much anywhere, whether it be on Earth or Endor or wherever the case is. But the stories themselves are timeless, it's Hamlet in space, basically, and that story keeps getting repeated over and over and over again in more and interesting ways. And thanks to Shakespeare for putting those words on paper. But I mean, it's certainly, I think that has a big piece of it as well. Timeless storytelling.
It is.
Mhm.
We thought it would be fun. We have a little bit of Star Wars trivia. I'm going to bounce off you, and we're going to test your depth of knowledge.
Oh dear. Okay.
Okay. It's interesting you remember the exact day you saw the first episode. Do you know the year that it was actually released?
Yep, 1977. I was 12 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. There was another film released in 1977 that actually beat Star Wars for the Academy Award for Best Picture. Do you know who knocked off Star Wars for the Academy Award that year?
Yeah, I think it was Woody Allen with Annie Hall, was it not?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah. Memory. Another interesting film.
But it's interesting you bring that up, because this is one of the biggest bones of contention about Star Wars. Here's a film that basically revolutionized the film industry, yet the Academy has literally ignored it nonstop. So not only did it not win an award that year, but it's never really won any awards after, except effects awards and that sort of thing. So
yeah. That's too bad. Okay, yeah. There's only 2 characters that have been in all the Star Wars movies. Can you name them?
In all the movies?
Yeah.
I guess it would be the two robots, right? C-3PO and R2-D2.
Yeah, I think the giveaway on that question is there two. Yes, that's
Yeah,
correct.
yeah.
Do you remember who played Princess Leia?
Carrie Fisher, the great Carrie Fisher, was
Yes.
sadly lost Carrie Fisher. Yeah.
Yes.
And a lot of people don't know this, but you know who created Star Wars?
Well, George Lucas basically created it, but he created it from material that he'd been sort of collecting along the way, but he was essentially the writer of the original screenplay and the original treatment, which was at the time a 200-page script that Fox basically said, yeah, you're not doing that. Lose about 100 pages. So
Wow.
And gentlemen, we're gonna have to leave it there because I'm getting the instructions from the producer, John.
I saved the best for, okay, fine.
Well, if you can ask it quickly.
Okay, how old was Yoda when he died?
900 years old. I think he was.
Wow, yes.
Yeah, but
yes.
But do you know what Yoda's first name was supposed to be?
No.
Buffy.
Oh, that just ruins it for me, Buffy.
Somehow in one of the original scripts, his name was Buffy.
Buffy.
And yeah, could you imagine?
Oh, okay. Tina's gonna kill us. We're going over. She's really mad. I can tell. She's got her lightsaber out.
I do want to thank Jeff Knoll, Town and Regional Councillor and owner of Film.ca, and Drew Redden, CEO of the Oakville Chamber of Commerce, and of course, my co-host, the retired CEO of the Oakville Chamber of Commerce, John Sawyer. You can watch the issue Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. with repeats throughout the week on your TV. Truly local. Stay safe and healthy, everyone. May the force be with all of us.
And also with you.